This is Greenbank, West Virginia. It's not difficult to see why people would be attracted here. Just a few hours' drive from Washington, D.C., it offers the sort of peace and solitude many city dwellers crave. But there is something else which is drawing people to this pretty corner of West Virginia. Locals call them the sensitives, and they are effectively Wi-Fi refugees seeking shelter from the modern world. They are a growing community of people who say they're allergic to mobile phones and Wi-Fi signals, sufferers of what is known as electromagnetic sensitivity, ES for short.
In England I was so sick, I couldn't exist. I was just ill from morning to night, just repeat every single day.
Most have moved here from other parts of the USA, but Sylvia Wilson's journey has been much longer. She's come with her daughter more than 3,500 miles from Lincolnshire.
Immediately it's like this energy that comes, from deep inside you, feeling severely sick. I have thrown up various times and it's not very pleasant. Then it just gives you, after a while, these horrendous headaches, just your head feels like you have a lot of pressure in your head and heating, burning sensations. They are the most uncomfortable. Hot needles coming into your head and twitching, and that's very, very unpleasant, very painful.
This is why Greenbank has become a sanctuary. It's part of the US Radio Quiet Zone, a 130,000 square mile area where radios and mobile phones are banned or severely restricted in case they interfere with this, the world's largest telescope. This makes Greenbank one of the very few places in the world where you can escape mobile phones and other electromagnetic signals. For Sylvia, it's become a refuge.
Sorry, I feel sick.
This was Sylvia when I first met her 7 years ago. She'd lined her house in Horncastle with tin foil. She believed it would protect her and her family from a mobile phone mast nearby.
The power of this is very, very strong, so we have to shield it, otherwise we'll become physically ill.
It's all the way through here. It's in your daughter's bedroom as well. All over the ceiling here.
I had to actually look after my mum. She couldn't even get out of bed. She was so ill, and I had to, make her breakfast, and I had to, get all her clothes ready.
There came a point when Sylvia felt too ill to stay in the UK. The family home was sold, and she looked to start a new life with her youngest daughter. She was forced to leave her older children and husband behind.
My marriage broke down. A lot of stress within the family with my children, and just unable to cope. It's a big emotional impact. Too much.
There's no clear diagnostic criteria for ES, so it's impossible to say how many people believe they're affected. Estimates vary from as low as just a few in every million to 5% of the population. Now, scientists know that mobile phone and Wi-Fi signals interfere with the operation of the radio telescope here, but do they also adversely affect human health? That is a complicated and controversial question. To find out whether science has anything to offer as an explanation for Sylvia's illness, I need to leave Greenbank and head back to the UK. Nearly all of us now own a mobile phone. In fact, there are more phones than people in this country, and Wi-Fi technology is spreading into every corner of our homes. Any possible health effects have to be taken seriously. So, what research has there been? Well, there have been more than 50 studies where scientists have tried to replicate the symptoms suffered by Sylvia and others. And some of the recent work has taken place here at King's College in London.
It's similar to a mobile phone, but it produces something much stronger than your average mobile phone would produce, and it's towards the upper threshold of what's allowed for a mobile phone. It's mounted on a headset, so our participants would wear this phone against their head for about 50 minutes during the experiment.
240 people have been tested in this way, half who believe they are sensitive to mobile phones and half who don't. Can I ask you about electrosensitivity as a condition? Does the scientific community actually give it any credibility? Does it exist?
The symptoms that people report are definitely real, they're definitely severe in some cases, and we know that for a minority of people they can be disabling symptoms. So it exists in terms of the experience that people report. When you bring people into your lab and you expose them to a genuine electromagnetic field or a sham electromagnetic field, so like a placebo, fake electromagnetic field, people do get symptoms. It's just those symptoms are as likely to be caused by the sham fields. Now that seems to suggest that if the sham fields are sufficient to cause their symptoms, there must be something psychological going on.
Other scientists have reached the same conclusion as James Rubin. The World Health Organization states that there is currently no scientific basis to link ES with short-term exposure to electromagnetic fields. However, some health professionals, like Dr. Erica Mallory-Blythe, want more research.
For all of us in this field, the understanding that we have is still extremely poor. Biological systems, they're not like chemicals in a test tube. Everything is not reproducible exactly as you would hope for with a machine. They're complex systems and each individual will respond to some extent differently.
These individual responses are something Erica knows more about than most. She too experiences symptoms of ES and tries to avoid mobile phones and electric currents.
So this is a tri-field meter, called tri-field because it measures 3 fields, that's electrical, magnetic and radio microwave. In this instance, where it's sitting there on the table, it's on a wooden surface with a substantial air gap between it and the electrical cable running underneath. If I reach down and put my hand near it, you can see that there's a deflection now up to the high part of the spectrum. That's because I'm behaving as a conductor for the electrical field around that cable. This is the basis for one of the theories on EHS, is that perhaps some people are more of a conductor than others, and if they're behaving as greater conductive organisms, then they're going to attract electromagnetic fields. And now you can see over here.
Erica now advises sufferers as part of her role with the support group ES UK and is planning her own studies into the condition.
It's very disappointing to see doctors misguidedly treating this as purely a psychological condition, when in fact their knowledge of it is often very poor indeed. And most people's knowledge of it is very poor because we don't have even diagnostic criteria at this point for people with EHS.
Is there any proof that electromagnetic fields don't cause the symptoms?
Well, it's not possible to prove a negative, of course. We can't prove to you that something doesn't cause something else. The best evidence we have to date, and it is quite good evidence, is there isn't a link.
You're not going to regret this further into your career in 10 years' time. It's not going to be one of the health scares that society ignored.
If evidence changes, I'll change my mind.
Back in West Virginia, life goes on as it has for centuries. Rich in tradition, it offers a very different way of life to Sylvia, a life apart from the modern world. And whatever the experts say, that's what Sylvia believes she needs.
We realize that material things, they mean nothing when you don't have health. So health is so important. So this is the reason why we came here.
And how are you feeling at this moment?
Yeah, I feel well. I feel, I could think. I don't feel sick. I feel okay.
No one really knows how many people there are like Sylvia, and at the moment it seems that medicine has very little to offer them. And so each must find their own way of dealing with the symptoms of this illness, whatever its cause. And for Sylvia, that's meant leaving Lincolnshire and her old life behind.